local, live, late-breaking. WESH 2 News starts now.
Off the top at 4, we are in the middle of a big storm. Good afternoon, I'm Meredith McDonough.
And I'm Michelle Imparato. Strong storms are moving through central Florida right now. Our WESH 2 News crews in West Orange County captured some video of heavy rain. Take a look at this. WESH 2's Amanda Crawford took this video on West Colonial Drive within just the last 90 minutes. The roads are slick out there, so we want you to be careful driving. Take a look at this hail that fell in Oviedo. A WESH 2 News viewer took this video of the hail falling outside of his home.
And in Winter Park, rain start to fall and we have thunder roaring just over our WESH 2 studios. WESH 2 News has team coverage of severe weather in central Florida. We start here in studio with First Alert Chief Meteorologist Tony Manalfi. So Tony, who's seeing the brunt of this storm now?
Well, right now it's clearly right here into northern Brevard County where we have this severe thunderstorm warning that's still in effect for about another couple of minutes here. As you can see, the storms will quickly move off. A lot of wind energy, a lot of thunder, a lot of lightning. We get this band off towards the east, and then we're going to be in much better shape. But Kyle, you just had an interesting report from one of our weather observation points there. Why don't you go and take that away?
This is an official observation station. It is at Cape Canaveral. The report is for a 73-mile-per-hour wind gust. There is a caution or maintenance check indicator with that, so it is not confirmed. But from what we have seen on radar and radar indicated winds, that did look at least within the realm of possibility with 60 to 70-mile-per-hour winds just above the surface, just talking a few to several hundred feet above the surface. So these are the winds we are concerned with in northern Brevard County with this warning. We've seen some small hail and obviously some very heavy rain and frequent lightning. Tony?
And Kyle, we're under that tornado watch now in effect until about 7 o'clock. So we've talked about this one area. Let's head south and west. We've got two other areas we want to highlight and set the stage for you. The southern areas of our viewing area are going to start to feel the brunt of another line of thunderstorms that are coming on in. And we do believe that this is going to drive eastward into Osceola and Brevard County later on this evening, right through WESH 2 News at 6:30. So stick with us with that. And then notice as Kyle drives us to the north, here's our actual cold front. I want to take you all the way up now towards Marion County. These storms are racing rapidly to the east, developing quickly. We're going to have to watch Marion County over towards the Villages, Bellevue, back towards Salt Springs. These are some rapidly developing thunderstorms that are racing to the east at about 50 miles an hour. They'll potentially land into northern Lake County, on into Flagler County and Volusia County a little bit later on. Again, no warnings for now, but that can change on a dime. We'll keep you posted. Guys, back to you.
All right, Tony, thank you. Right now, heavy rain is falling in West Orange County. WESH 2's Amanda Crawford was out driving along West Colonial Drive earlier today. Amanda, it was really coming down hard.
Yes, it was really coming down hard earlier this afternoon. We are on John Young Parkway and Silver Star Road now, and you can see the rain is let up. Driving conditions are pretty much back to normal, but you can see the water piling up in the ditch here. Shows you, or just kind of gives you an idea of how much rain we got there this afternoon. Now take a look at this video that we shot earlier. This was driving down West Colonial in Orange County, heading toward Ocoee, and it was a huge downpour. We saw some debris in the streets. You can see the big branches and sticks there. Also some minor street flooding in most of the typical spots and on the outside lanes, kind of forcing a lot of drivers to either slow way down or just pull off the street to try to get out of that mess. We saw lots of traffic backing up in places where there was some flooding and also in places where the power was out. So that heavy rain lasted for a couple of hours this afternoon. That's pretty much what we saw, was downpours that definitely impaired some driving conditions. And also just a reminder, just a mile down here on John Young Parkway, there are some traffic lights out, and keep in mind that does become a four-way stop. We saw lots of drivers struggling with that, so just keep that in mind and stay safe. Reporting live, Amanda Crawford, WESH 2 News.
Thank you, Amanda. And we've also seen high water this afternoon along parts of I-4 in Orange County.
Some of the flooding appeared to be more than a foot high. We have WESH 2's Kelly Rippon joining us live right now along I-4 near Fairbanks. Kelly, how's it looking now?
So with the rain having that break right now, we are seeing people start to pick up speed, and we have to continue to warn everyone to be extremely careful. You can see on I-4, people are still going at a pretty good clip. And another reminder for you, seeing a lot of folks still without headlights on. Make sure you turn those on. Let people see you out there with the splash up from some of this water that's on the roadway. It's very dangerous to not have your headlights on while driving. I want to show you over by Princeton, there is currently currently a car accident on I-4. Again, parts of I-4 with very, very heavy water that's difficult to drive through. People are trying to merge, and it's getting very slow and backed up in areas. So use caution, and especially on those on and off ramps. Some of those are still very much flooded. So we are letting everyone know that just because there is a break in the rain doesn't mean it's time to go ahead and go back to the speed limit. There are still dangerous conditions out there. We want everyone to get home safely. We are live just along I-4. Kelly Rippin, WESH 2 News.
And plenty of people in Lake, Orange, and Seminole counties saw hail today.
Many of you shared your pictures with us. One of the areas that got a coating almost like snow was Ocoee. Take a look. This picture shows all of the hail on the ground there. You can see just how big it was in some places. This picture really puts things into perspective for you. That's a large piece, but others had smaller hail, but still enough to grab a handful.
It was a similar situation in Seminole County in the Oviedo area. You can see all those pelts collecting in a flower bed here. The hail was pretty large as well. Plenty of you were able to grab a handful. Our own meteorologist Eric Burris did that and says that the hail was very large. So Eric, thanks for sharing that with us.
Also in the greater Orlando area, Fairview Shores got pelted with some hail. We also got a picture from West Orlando, and we really want you to keep the pictures coming, obviously, if it's safe for you to do so, as we continue to follow the effects of the severe weather today. Thousands of people lost power as these powerful storms move through the area. Here are the latest numbers reported just a couple of minutes ago. Duke Energy says about 4,200 of their customers are without power right now. Those are spread through several counties in central Florida. OUC says about 1,600 people in Orlando are without power, and we'll of course keep an eye on these numbers for you and let you know when we have an estimate on when the power might be restored.
Right now, flights at Orlando International are grounded. You are looking live at the airport. OIA posted an update on the FAA website saying that a ground stop is impacting arrivals and departures. The FAA says the ground stop currently in effect is mainly impacting traffic headed north. Chief Meteorologist Tony joining us once again. So Tony, we're just seeing the cameras there at OIA. You can't even see in front of you.
Yeah, it's amazing how heavy the rain has been today. And the point that I want to make, Meredith, is we may be in a low here in Orlando, but I don't think we're done yet. We're watching down across the southern reaches of our viewing area. And then Kyle's been showing us the radar and the front off towards west. Let's go and take a look now at the radar and the severe storm risk. There it is right there. You can see the actual cold front now approaching the western side of our viewing area. Look at these individual thunderstorms now. They have developed quite rapidly. We're going to have to watch the trends on them. And then down towards the south and the west near Winter Haven, that line of thunderstorms is going to develop to the north and the east. But for now, Waresdale over towards Lynn, over towards soon-to-be Salt Springs. We have some very heavy rain here. Non-severe for the time being, but they certainly appear to be getting stronger as they move off towards the east. And then that line is beginning to fill in right along that cold front. So we'll watch the Villages, Bushnell. Once this line comes through your neighborhood, I think we're going to be in much better shape. Now, what's impressive to me is what's going on across far southern Polk County. Nasty line of thunderstorms appears to be getting better organized and chugging off towards the east. So we're going to watch that very carefully right through WESH 2 News at 6:30, as we do believe that this is going to make a run at southern areas of Osceola County on into the big cities of Palm Bay, Melbourne, then down towards Grand Valcaria and Mico a little bit later on. You can see the development here beginning to kind of slant more towards the north than the east as it overall moves in the general vicinity over towards Kenansville. So we'll keep you posted on that. Once we get past this line right here, which will be about 7, 8 o'clock, we're going to be turning breezy, drier, and cooler. I've got a great forecast coming up for you here in just a couple minutes. Guys, back to you.
Tony, thank you. And WESH 2 News wants to keep you safe in the storm when seconds count. Download the free WESH 2 News app for your smartphone. You can track the radar and see the 7-day forecast. Just head to the App Store and search WESH 2 News. Developing now, a Maryland high school was on lockdown for hours this morning after a shooting.
2 people are still in the hospital. A 16-year-old girl is in critical condition, and the shooter is dead. Gunfire erupted at Great Mills High School about 70 miles south of Washington, D.C. WESH 2's Stuart Moore is here in studio with the latest.
Well, Michelle, this all happened before classes started for the day at the high school. Investigators say that a male student pulled out a handgun. The female student, as you mentioned, is in critical condition. A male student injured is in stable condition. The sheriff says after the shots was fired, the suspect was confronted by the school resource officer and the 2 exchanged gunfire. He did not say whether or not the deputy's shots landed, but the shooter died from gunfire.
When the shooting took place, our school resource officer, who was stationed inside the school, was alerted to the event and the shots being fired. He pursued the shooter, engaged the shooter, during which that engagement he fired a round at the shooter. Simultaneously, the shooter fired a round as well.
Now, that deputy was not injured. The sheriff says his deputies trained for this type of scenario and just hope to never have to use this training. Now, none of the students have been publicly identified. No new update about the girl in critical condition has been released in the last 2 hours. We will keep you posted as we find out more. Meredith.
Law enforcement officials in Texas say a serial bomber sending exploding packages to homes is getting more sophisticated. A package believed to be bound for Austin exploded at a FedEx facility near San Antonio early this morning. 2 people have been killed and others hurt in the 5 package explosions. Austin police say that they've responded to 420 suspicious packages calls from 8 a.m. yesterday through 8 a.m. today. More than 500 ATF and FBI agents are on the ground in Austin investigating.
A local youth basketball coach has pleaded guilty to sexually molesting his team members. More than a dozen parents lodged complaints against David White after he hosted all-night parties for boys around the age of 12. WESH 2's Dan Billow is at the Brevard County Courthouse. Dan, what made him decide to plead?
It's been a 2-year legal battle, and he pleaded guilty in a deal that reduces his prison time but keeps his young victims from having to relive what happened.
Charged with lewd and lascivious molestation.
Judge David Dugan read 5 different charges of lewd and lascivious molestation and 1 charge of video voyeurism, all accusing David White of molesting and video recording 4 members of his Palm Bay area basketball team. His activities began to unravel about 2 years ago at his Malabar home, when one of his players frantically called his mother and begged her to come get him. The all-night parties with the adolescent boys had already caught the attention of neighbors.
I'm actually surprised that something hasn't happened before now. I really am, because he was just obviously too fond.
Investigators say White abandoned his home and family after the boy's phone call and tried to escape to Mexico, but was caught just before crossing the border in Texas. Today, family members of the victims sat in the courtroom as a prosecutor explained that the state was offering White a deal for the sake of those kids, one that would keep them off the witness stand.
In order for them not to have to see Mr. White ever again, that is the reason why we're coming down to a lower number.
And so White pleaded guilty to a reduced sentence, got a reduced sentence. He could have gotten life in prison if convicted of all charges. Instead, it'll be 18.5 years. We're live in Viera, Brevard County. Dan Billow, WESH 2 News.
All right, Dan, thank you. White will be formally sentenced next month. Victims and parents are expected to speak at that time.
And we're following that news happening right now. Severe weather that has moved through our area here in Central Florida. Let's take a look here along I-4. This is a crash right here at Princeton, and you can see just about 1 lane of cars getting by here. Several responders on scene. We are working to find out how many people are injured in this crash, if any, but things are going to be slow going on the highway this afternoon on the interstate with all this rain.
And we also want to give you a look at the radar right now live. You can see that there are some storms still moving through our area at this time. We have our team of meteorologists keeping an eye on everything that's happening for you right down to your neighborhood. So stay with us here on WESH 2 News. And as we head to break, Volusia County saw a lot of rain, thunder, and lightning earlier today. And offshore in Daytona Beach shores, a water spout appeared over the ocean but never dropped down. Just north of there, but over land in Daytona Beach, storm watchers saw a possible funnel cloud emerge from the dark skies over A1A, but there was no reported touchdown. Tony is coming back with your full forecast in minutes. Stay with us.
We continue to follow severe weather this evening. Strong storms are moving across Central Florida right now. Team coverage continues with First Alert meteorologists Tony Manalfi and Kyle Gravelin. They'll join us again in just a few moments. Stick with us right here on WESH 2 News and inside the WESH 2 News app. Day 4 of testimony in the trial of North Salmon, and the prosecution may be close to wrapping up its case.
As WESH 2's Amanda Ober reports, the government's claim that Salmon not only knew what her husband was planning, but helped him relies heavily on a text message that she sent the night of the Pulse attack.
The mother of a man known as Nemo, who is a key figure in the case against Norse Salmon, took the stand on Tuesday. According to court records, Nemo is the friend Omar Mateen often claimed to be with when he was out cheating on his wife. The night of the Pulse attack, Salmon sent Mateen a text just before 6 p.m. that said, "If your mom calls, say Nemo invited you out and Nora wants to stay home." Prosecutors say that text shows that Salmon helped her husband by suggesting a cover story to give his mother. Defense lawyers argue the text only shows Mateen lied to his wife about where he was and that she was just repeating a lie he'd often told her. Nemo's mother was on the stand a short time and testified that on the night before Pulse, Nemo was in Washington, D.C. and could not have been with Mateen. Supporters of Norse Salmon continue to express concerns over what they call the government's lack of hard evidence that Salmon actually helped with the crime.
Critical, because there's a lot of innuendos here. You know, the FBI and prosecutions are going on the stand and they're kind of asking the jury to connect the dots for them.
But legal experts say the hard evidence that Salmon allegedly helped her husband will likely come in the next few days.
I would expect the next 2 or 3 days of the trial to focus specifically on what Nora did or what happened that the government will argue she did know and did help.
In Orlando, Amanda Ober, WESH 2 News.
And WESH 2 News will be at the courthouse every day as the trial continues. Look for updates on air and online, or you can get alerts with the WESH 2 mobile app. You can also get real-time updates from our team on social media. All you have to do is search for the hashtag Salmon Trial.
Turning to our weather now, take a look at the heavy rain that fell today in West Orange County. WESH's Amanda Crawford captured this video along West Colonial Drive. You can see the heavy rain and some debris in the middle of the roadway, even though it's tough to see right now. If you are preparing to head out tonight, avoid those puddles and drive safely. I'm here now with First Alert Chief Meteorologist Tony Manalfi. So, Tony, we've been under that tornado warning off and on throughout the day. What can we expect tonight?
Well, we're not done yet. Anyway, we're going to watch Brevard County. The cell is just about offshore, but there's another line of thunderstorms rapidly developing. I'm concerned for Flagler County. Could be a couple more warnings coming down the road. Tornado watch does remain in effect until 7 o'clock tonight. Let's take a look now what's going on, what's transpiring. There's our cold front, and look what's going on rapidly here. You heard Kyle and I discussing this throughout the afternoon. Big line of new storms firing just along or ahead of the main cold front there. That front, once it comes through later on tonight, will put us in better shape. But you can see multiple clusters of developing thunderstorms. These extend through Sumter County, and then another line of storms through Polk County that will launch from Marion County. 1, 2, 3 individual thunderstorms. These are all racing off towards the east. They're going to be in Marion County here. Excuse me, not Marion, but Flagler County, over towards Volusia County very quickly. So we're going to have to watch the trends on these. Could have a couple of warnings on those as we go forward in time. There's the villages. There's Waresdale. There's Rutland, another line of thunderstorms. And notice how this line is filling on in. That's going to be the trend as they build through Sorrento, Apopka, and then a little bit later on through the heart of I-4 one more time, where we've already had issues with water along the Fairbanks curve and over towards Princeton Street. A big cluster of wind. Now moving offshore, there could be a couple of brief water spouts as these pull offshore here over the next half hour. And then the other area of concern is right here into Polk County. Notice how this line of thunderstorms is quickly moving to the east and as well developing to the north and the east. We're going to watch the trends on that. That could have an impact on Satellite Beach, Melbourne, over towards central and southern Osceola County a little bit later on. Multiple wind reports now coming out of northern Brevard County in the 45 to 65-mile-an-hour range today, with one isolated report even higher than that. 6 o'clock. There's your front right along I-4 by 7:38 coming through Brevard County. After about 9 o'clock, it's all done and over with. The air will turn a little bit drier and then certainly cooler by daybreak on into Wednesday morning. By the time it's all said and done, additional rainfall for tonight with that wedge coming in across the south could be upwards of 1 inch to 1.5 inches. I think the models may be just a little bit underdone with the action now developing through Marion County. So I think we're going to see another bubble of higher rainfall totals through a good chunk there of Flagler County. Wouldn't be surprised if we pick up a quick inch of rain. Rain cooled mid-60s along I-4, still 85 in Melbourne, waiting on those thunderstorms to the south and west. Gusty Winds 15 to 20 miles an hour. We've had gusts as high as 45 miles an hour outside of the thunderstorms this afternoon. Tomorrow morning, big shock to the system here. 48 Ocala, 55 here in town, 55 in Titusville, and 56 back towards Melbourne. So we've got the line of storms coming through now. But tomorrow, the story, the cooler, the sunnier, and the drier weather for spring breakers who will have a good chunk of this week off, if not up to and leading into next week. Tomorrow afternoon, 69 Ocala, 73 in DeLand, 70 in Sanford, 72 back towards Titusville and Melbourne, right around 74. So let's take a look now at the updated 7-day forecast. Nice and comfortable here as we go through Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And, you know, the spring is here now. You may have thought, hey, you know, I could put those spring sweaters away. Not yet. We're going to have a couple of cool mornings there. But as we head into the weekend, looking to get back into the water. 82, 83, both Saturday and Sunday. Overnight lows will be running in the mid to the upper 50s. Could be a couple of showers late on Sunday. A few of the models want to back in a cold front by Sunday evening. We'll keep you posted on that. And then behind that, Monday and Tuesday, notice those afternoon highs will be running in the upper 70s to low 80s, with those overnight low temperatures holding steady, running about 60 to 65 degrees. Guys, back to you.
All right, Tony, thank you. And of course, with the weather like that we had throughout the day, we continue to see some breaking news happening along the roadways. This is a situation happening right now in Orange County. This is I-4 eastbound at exit 85, which is Princeton. The 3 lanes are blocked here. Just one is getting by. We saw several first responders on the scene just a few moments ago. It looks as though they're getting this one cleaned up, and we're continuing to figure out here and work to make our phone calls to find out if anyone was hurt.
We're going to continue to watch the roadways and the severe weather throughout the day right here on WESH 2. Stay with us.
Take a look at what a WESH 2 News viewer sent to us from Ocoee. You can see large chunks of hail falling. Rain is also slamming the sidewalk. Chief Meteorologist Tony Manalfi is back in just a few minutes with a look at your forecast.
And we have some breaking news to tell you about right now. Because of the severe weather around the area, Full Sail University is canceling classes right now. So all classes are currently canceled because there are some power outages. So your online classes, your campus classes, and all labs will resume tomorrow, Wednesday, March 21st at 9 a.m. So if you do go to school there, or you are a teacher or professor, just know that it is canceled for the day.
A homeowner in the Lake Nona area went out to her patio to find an unwelcome guest.
An alligator was in her pool. Chopper 2 was up in the air as the trapper carried the gator to his truck. WESH 2's Michelle Meredith spoke to the homeowner about the shock.
This morning we opened the door and there was the alligator over in the swimming pool.
Edson Mora has had just about all the excitement one man can take in a 12-hour period. Last night he came home from the hospital with his brand new baby boy. Then this morning wakes up to find an alligator lounging in his pool. Edson shot this video of the agitated gator getting the hook. Originally from Brazil, Edson moved to Lake Nona 4 years ago and, well, did not sign up for this.
It was a big surprise. My wife saw first. She said, I don't want to go outside anymore.
Edson says he first saw the alligator hanging out by the waterfall. He took one look at the gator took one look at him, then the gator slipped under the water. Experts say, like humans, alligators have a thing for pools, like to take a dip after a day in the hot sun. One thing that confuses and scares Edson, how did this 6-foot alligator get in the pool area in the first place? It's completely enclosed by a fence.
Through this fence here, you see the scratch. Look at this side here. We can see that he come over here. So it's very...
You think he squeezed through there?
Yeah, he squeezed to go because he was very big.
The alligator was escorted off the property under protest. Now Edson and his family could go back to taking care of their new little bundle of joy, minus their uninvited scaly guest. In Orange County, Michelle Meredith, WESH 2 News.
Sometimes alligators captured like this are released in another area or they're euthanized. The trapper in this case told the homeowner that this gator will be euthanized. Now, we're not the only ones who are feeling the hit from severe weather today.
Overnight, the southeast was caught in a path of destruction. Tornadoes tearing through Alabama. Now the cleanup begins.
Plus, lawyers argue over the wrongful death lawsuit involving Christina Grimmie, why the entertainment company says it should not be sued.
And we continue to monitor severe weather moving through central Florida. First Alert Chief Meteorologist Tony Melfi is back with an update in just a few moments.
Local, live, late-breaking. WESH 2 News starts now.
Now at 4:30, we are staying on top of severe weather in central Florida.
And right now, rain and storms are moving through Marion County. We could still see storms in Orlando within the next 30 minutes. First Alert Chief Meteorologist Tony Melfi is joining us now with an update. Tony.
All right, so let's take a look now where we stand with regards to the tornado watch. It does remain in effect, folks, until 7 o'clock this evening across all of central Florida. And as we're going to take a look now at that graphic behind me here, you're going to see Ocala, the Villages, back towards Leesburg, Sanford, over towards Daytona Beach. We're still in the red, but we are beginning to chop away at that north and west of Ocala. For me, the bottom line is once the front moves on through, we're going to be in better shape. It hasn't moved through yet, though, so here's what we're watching now. Nice line of thunderstorms rapidly developing along and ahead of the cold front. Palm Coast, we're watching that line of thunderstorms to your west. Daytona Beach, a line of thunderstorms to your west. And as we zoom it in, we're also watching the Villages back towards Leesburg. Another quick shot of thunder, lightning, and some strong gusty winds will be moving in. Orlando, for the time being, you are quiet, but look off towards the west. You can see the beginnings of yet another line of thunderstorms. These will race your way here over about the next half hour to 45 minutes. The severe thunderstorm warning that was in effect for Titusville has just been allowed to expire as the rough weather has moved offshore. But the line that we're going to have to watch as well is that line from Winter Haven down towards Fort Meade. This is building off towards Keynasville. It does have eyes on Palm Bay and Melbourne. A little bit later on, Meredith will keep you posted on that.
Okay, Tom, thank you. Well, it's not raining on most of I-4 right now, but that road is a mess for the afternoon commute.
WESH 2's Kelly Rippin is live near Lee Road right now. Kelly, we've been seeing flooding and crashes already today.
And unfortunately, I don't think that's going to slow down anytime soon. I know that we do have a break in those storms right now, but people are taking advantage of that and really starting to fly on the interstate. I'm going to step out of the way so you guys can see I-4 east and westbound right at Fairbanks. Now, heading eastbound, things are looking pretty good. Folks moving a little bit slower. It's the westbound lanes where just as they approach Fairbanks, people are starting to hit the brakes. We have seen some unbelievable ponding going on I-4 right in that area. And then a little bit further down at Princeton, there's actually right now an accident that has everyone trying to merge over into one lane, which is making this all that more dangerous. And we reminded everyone a little earlier, make sure you're turning your headlights on. Still seeing a lot of folks who are driving without them. That'll make you more visible as some of the spray from this rain that is still very much on the roadway is kicking up. You need to be able to be seen by your fellow drivers. So we want to remind everybody as you're starting to head home, get those headlights on and still take it slow because the roads are still very much wet, and especially the exit and exit ramps are seeing some of that heavy flooding. So just a warning for everyone to be careful out there. Of course, we'll be keeping a close eye on it for you here on WESH 2 News. We are live along I-4. Kelly Rippin, WESH 2 News.
The interstate isn't the only place that we've seen road flooding. A number of side streets are underwater as well. This is Howell Branch Road in Castleberry. You can see several cars driving through that standing water. We have not yet gotten reports of any roads closed, but police are just urging caution if you come across a flooded street.
The large hail provided the biggest show this afternoon. WESH 2's Stuart Moore is back with us now. Stuart, plenty of people had their phones ready to go to take pictures.
That is right, Michelle. One of them was WESH viewer Charles, who spotted hail falling with all that pouring rain near downtown Winter Park this afternoon. Another video from Oviedo shows the huge hail pelting the lawn. Some areas saw a coating that almost looked like snow. Now, Ocoee was also hard hit. This viewer captured all that ice hitting the ground as it mixed in with the rainfall. Now, and one more video for you. This one is from the area of Lake Underhill and Econ Trail. We'll continue to follow the effects of all this severe weather along with any of the damage. If you see any, make sure that you tweet it to us or message to us on Facebook. But of course, be safe getting that video. Michelle, back to you.
All right. Thank you, Stuart. Also, thousands of people lost power as these powerful storms moved through the area. Here's a look at the latest numbers from Duke Energy. Orange County has the highest number of outages with more than 3,300. We've also have outages through Lake Marion, Seminole, and Volusia counties. Orlando Utilities also has a number of outages. They're down to about 450 customers in the dark right now. Also, we want to give you a live look right now. Authorities have closed the Sunshine Skyway Bridge due to severe weather, and we're going to try to get a look at that for you coming up here on WESH 2 News. Now, severe winds and at least one tornado created a path of destruction in the Deep South.
Storms damaged buildings in northern and eastern Alabama overnight, and more damage is expected there today. NBC's Chris Pallone is in Jacksonville, Alabama, where a university suffered major damage to the residence halls and also an arena.
Damage assessment and cleanup are underway in parts of Alabama and Georgia after powerful storms spawned tornadoes.
Now that is some hail right there.
And dropped baseball-sized hail across the region. Cars and homes damaged and destroyed near Cullman, Alabama. Trees and power lines knocked to the ground as well. The National Weather Service confirms at least 3 tornadoes touched down in the state, with a college town northeast of Birmingham taking the biggest hit.
Shortly before 9 p.m., a tornado impacted Jacksonville. There is extensive damage.
The campus of Jacksonville State University took a direct blow. Brian Scott took cover in his bathroom.
As soon as I put the blanket over my head, the roof comes off. And after that, it was like a 15 minutes of hell.
Some brand new tank in there.
Throughout the area, people like Rusty Poole are taking stock of what's gone and what's left.
Start over. Start over.
And realizing that everything they spent years working for can disappear in an instant.
You put so much effort into it, and you try to make it right.
It's a storm you just don't want to mess with. Be in your place of safety.
The Storm Prediction Center issued a rare PDS, or particularly dangerous situation warning, before the outbreak, and people had a 15-minute warning to take cover.
The good news is there's no known injuries or fatalities, and for that, we thank God.
As the system moved east, it damaged dozens of homes in the Atlanta suburb. It's a stark reminder that in the southeast, peak tornado season has arrived. Chris Pallone, NBC News.
Okay, we want to get you back to some breaking news that we're following right now. Authorities have closed the Sunshine Skyway Bridge because of the severe weather that we're having. Florida Highway Patrol confirms that the bridge connecting Pinellas County to Manatee County was shut down just before 4 o'clock, so for about a half hour now, and it's all because of the high winds. You're looking live there right now. We'll stay on top of it, let you know if it does reopen again. WESH 2 News wants to keep you safe in this storm when every second counts. Download the free WESH 2 mobile app right to your smartphone. You can track the radar and see the 7-day forecast as well. Just head to the App Store and search for WESH 2 News.
We are learning more about the lawsuit surrounding the death of pop music star Christina Grimmie. A judge is deciding whether or not it should be thrown out. WESH 2's Amanda Crawford was in the courtroom today.
The attorney for Christina Grimmie's family says her murder could have been avoided. He argued today at the Orange County Courthouse that the concert promoter and the owner of the venue should have had better security. The other side argues they weren't responsible for ensuring Grimmie's safety. Grimmie was gunned down by an obsessed fan on June 10th, 2016. Her brother tackled the shooter. Grimmie was killed. It happened at the Plaza Live, owned by Orlando Philharmonic Orchestra, and the concert promoter was AEG Live. AEG's attorney says they had no contract with Grimmie, and it was not their duty to provide security.
This is horrible for the family, but AEG Live is not responsible, was not responsible, and should not be held responsible by the court.
The Grimmie's attorney says AEG Live paid for her performance, so there must have been an agreement and therefore an understanding she would be safe. But their lawsuit says there were no metal detectors, no pat-downs, and the shooter was able to get in. The family's attorney tells me the Grimmies want to make sure this never happens again.
I think if we create a legal precedent here that helps performers and attendees and at concert venues, it would be great.
The defendants want this case thrown out. Judge Kevin Weiss is reviewing that motion for dismissal. He told attorneys he could make his decision within a few weeks. Amanda Crawford, WESH 2 News.
Orange County deputies are trying to figure out how a woman ended up dead at a home last night. They found her just before 10 o'clock at the house on 35th Street. They say there are no signs of foul play, but they say the way they found her is suspicious. We will bring you more information as soon as it becomes available.
Florida Fish and Wildlife officials are not releasing the name of a man seen on video dragging an alligator with a utility vehicle. A concerned citizen shared this video with WESH 2 of the man roping the 8-foot gator on a busy road near the Volusia-Brevard County line. sign. He can then be seen dragging it behind him because the animal is apparently blocking traffic. FWC officials say that the man then took the alligator to his home. They sent a trapper there who recovered it alive in the man's front yard. A spokesman with FWC says that they will work with the state attorney's office to determine if any criminal charges will be filed.
3 high school students are accused of breaking into a Daytona Beach home and stealing an AR-15, ammunition, cash, and some other items. 19-year-old Mainland High School student Joseph Summerall and 2 other students who are 16 and 17 years old are all facing felony charges today. Police say a neighbor saw the crooks breaking into a home on Landvale Avenue yesterday afternoon. Police searched a nearby wood line and say that they found a book bag belonging to one of the suspects and some of the stolen property, including that rifle. Hours after the burglary, police say the teens drove back to the area and were arrested.
The brother of the 19-year-old who deputies say confessed to killing 17 people at a South Florida school spent a night in jail last night. Broward County deputies arrested 18-year-old Zachary Cruz, saying that he rode his skateboard onto the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School campus after he was warned to stay away. He was arrested for trespassing and put in the same jail where his brother Nicholas Cruz has been housed since the Valentine's Day shooting. Survivors of that shooting are rallying today ahead of leaving for Saturday's March for Our Lives at our nation's capital. And join us tomorrow night at 8 p.m. for WESH 2 Chronicle, The Right to Remain Safe, hosted by Jim Payne. We'll take an in-depth look at what it is being done to keep our schools, teachers, and students safe, from Florida's new law to active shooter training for students. That's Wednesday at 8 o'clock on WESH 2.
Dozens of animals were seized from a local feed store.
And neighbors say that store had been closed for months. Coming up, we are learning what's next for the few animals who survived.
Plus, we're keeping an eye on storms moving through central Florida. We are on a tornado. Well, we were on a tornado warning earlier today, but First Alert Chief Meteorologist Tony Manalfi is coming back within just a few minutes to tell you what you need to know about the rest of the night.
And welcome back, everybody. Another brand new severe thunderstorm warning now for a good chunk of Flagler County. This one does remain in effect until 5:15. Strong damaging winds now approaching the Palm Coast area. You can see the loop here. Look how quickly these storms are developing and marching off towards the north and the east. And a good little turn of wind here on that northern curl there, closing in on about 40 to 45 miles an hour. We'll keep you posted until it moves offshore. Guys, back to you.
All right, Tone, thank you. Neighbors called the Orange County Sheriff's Office concerned about the animals living behind a feed store in Apopka.
They believe the store closed a couple of months ago, and they questioned whether the animals were being properly fed and cared for. The animals are behind the store on Mount Plymouth Road. WESH 2's Dave McDaniel spent the day on that scene.
One after another, animals are loaded for a trip to a contractor brought in by the sheriff's office. The animals will be cared for until the investigation is completed.
I'm glad something is finally being done about this.
Neighbors have been concerned about the animals for some time.
There's nothing over here for them to eat, so they come over here and feed.
There's no grass, barely any trees back there. It's all dirt, lots of trash, barely any food, water. So, very unlivable.
Deputies call it an investigation into possible abandonment and neglect, but say they did find food and a number of the animals seem to be doing okay. The vet on site confirmed some animals were doing better than others. We called the number on Price Farm and Feed sign, and it was forwarded to a woman who called herself a former worker here. She said the store closed a couple of months ago and she has a new job. She believed a former co-worker was caring for the animals. That woman did come here to speak with investigators.
For the animals' sake, we had to just call.
Hendricks said even people who dropped by to visit him commented on the conditions next door.
There's no grass, no nothing over there. What do they eat? And I said, well, I'm not sure.
Frustrated neighbors believe the owner and the others had their best intentions about caring for the animals, but that it was a big job and difficult to accomplish. The contractor returned late in the afternoon to pick up the remaining animals. We called a phone number listed for the owner of the property. We're waiting to hear back. Reporting in Apopka, Dave McDaniel, WESH 2 News.
Turning back to your forecast now, Tony, we've been seeing a lot of severe weather today, and we're currently under a new warning.
Yeah, we have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect, as you can see up there in the yellow box, Michelle, up towards Palm Coast. Fast mover moving to the northeast now at about 30 miles an hour. And remember, we're under this tornado watch in effect until 7 o'clock. At that point, we think that the actual front will have cleared the entire area, but you can see what's going on. A front now coming into northern Marion County. Nice line of thunderstorms has developed along this front, and it is producing some stronger thunderstorms. This severe thunderstorm warning for Palm Coast and Flagler Beach and Bunnell and Bimini in effect until 5:15 this evening. The worst of it looks like it's going to go from Palm Coast up towards Marineland. We'll have to watch this little curl on the back side of it. As you can see, it's moving rather rapidly off towards the east-northeast this evening, and the velocity showing the curl of the winds there on the back side of that thunderstorm at about 40 miles an hour coming from the radar there in Jacksonville. Daytona Beach, Ormond Beach, as we look off towards the south and the west there, you can see a nice little line of thunderstorms there. This is along and ahead of that front. There's Paisley. There's the Villages. A lot of lightning here, but nothing that's rotating, nothing that's at severe limits yet. But as it continues to build off towards the east and we get into a little bit of sunshine, these may get enhanced a little bit, and that's what we're going to have to watch going forward. Titusville, Port St. John, Cocoa Beach, the worst of the energy now offshore. Out over the Gulf Stream, that little curlicue there, that's a developing water spout that's been ongoing here for about the last 15 minutes, pulling away. But as we head down to the south now, the area that we talked about that we'll have to watch is this corridor down across far southern Polk, Osceola, on into Brevard County. Nice little wedge of showers and thunderstorms developing here. We'll have to wait to see if it can develop into something a little bit more significant on approach to Kenansville, Micco, Barefoot Bay, Grand Valcaria, Micco, and even as far north as Palm Bay and Melbourne. So we'll watch that right through WESH 2 News at about 6:30 this evening. Then off towards the south, Yeehaw Junction, Micco. You're quiet for now. That'll change a little bit later on. There's Futurecast. You can see at 6 o'clock doing a very good job of showing where the roughest of the weather is going to be, right on top of I-4 from Sanford, Orlando, down towards Kissimmee, back towards Titusville, and moving on into Melbourne. We think things will begin to clear off the coast between 8 and about 9 o'clock this evening, and then things are going to be looking pretty good overnight tonight. Could have an additional ½ inch to 1.5 inches of rain along I-4 and points to the east. I think the farther north and west you go, the rain is almost done and over with. This is well underdone up here in Flagler County. I'm anticipating a good quick quarter to ½ inch of rain in Palm Coast. Could even be closer to 1 inch up towards Marineland as that thunderstorm is coming on through right now. Upper 60s, Orlando, Sanford, still in the mid-80s and waiting on those storms down there in Brevard County. And that's why we still have an alert icon for strong to severe thunderstorms through 7 o'clock, especially into Osceola and Polk County. Things will be improving dramatically after about 8:30. Look at that, 4 a.m. in the morning, 62, 7 a.m. coming in at about 56, and out the door tomorrow morning. Look at Ocala, 48, 55 Orlando, and 56 degrees out the door in the city of Melbourne. Now, when we take a look at what's going on, there's our line of showers and thunderstorms. This is a new day and a new season as we get you into tomorrow. Gone will be the 80s. Back will be the upper 60s and low 70s. Very low humidity and a whole lot of wind out of the west at about 15 to 25 miles an hour. So let's go and take a look now at the updated 7-day forecast. I know a lot of you have spring break off this week, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Beautiful weather. Get out there and enjoy it. I know a few of you are probably looking for the pool and or the beach day. Saturday and Sunday, we've got you covered. You're going to be much happier, although there could be a couple of showers late in the day, north and east on Sunday. And then behind the storm system, Monday and Tuesday, we'll be back in the upper 70s to the low 80s. We're keeping an eye on that severe weather up north and potentially on into Osceola and Brevard County as we go through WESH 2 News at 5 and again at 6.
We continue to follow severe weather this evening. Strong storms are moving across central Florida right now. Team coverage continues next at 5 o'clock with First Alert meteorologist Tony Manalfi and Kyle Gravlin. It's important to stay updated on the weather threats, so you could stick with us here on WESH 2 News and, of course, with the WESH 2 mobile app.
Google is teaming up with a few giant retailers to make some money off of your product searches.
So a new program will allow companies to list their products and loyalty programs on Google's search platforms and some Google Home devices. Now, in exchange, the retailers will pay Google a cut of each purchase. Some of the stores on board include Walmart, Target, Home Depot, and Costco. A dog defied the odds and finally found her way back home after disappearing 8 years ago.
Pretty incredible. The dog's name is Hannah, and it's a pet beagle. Now, this all started 8 years ago when her owner, Jeannie Rogers, went into an assisted living facility, and Hannah went with a new family. But just last week, Hannah was found on the side of the road. It turns out that her new owners lost her 2 years ago, and Hannah has been on her own ever since. But after being taken to animal control in Winter Haven, her microchip helped vets find her original owner. Hannah's family says that they plan to keep her as a memory of Jeannie, who passed away.
WESH 2 News at 5 is straight ahead.
Stuart Moore joins us now with what's coming up in our next hour. Stu?
Well, guys, we are following the big story of the day. Right now, our First Alert weather team is tracking a new line of storms heading towards Central Florida. At 5, we'll show you some of the hail pictures and damage from storms that have already passed and let you know where we could see severe weather next. And you saw this video first on WESH 2. This is some of that hail video that we're going to show you. But we also saw this video first on WESH 2 of an alligator being dragged behind a utility vehicle. Now FWC is investigating and charges could be possible. Those stories, plus we'll check in with your rush hour traffic. That's coming up next at 5.